All right. So when we have formulas, you've got them nicely listed out over to the side on your notes page. So you're given equations: area of a rectangle, perimeter of a rectangle, area of a triangle, area of a trapezoid, volume of a rectangular prism, volume of a rectangular pyramid. So anytime that I ask you to solve for any of these things, I will provide those formulas for you, I believe. Those are given on your exam in the spring. Those equations will be given. Still good to know, because in the future, they will not be given. So like Math 2, you got to know them. All right, so up here at the top, we've got the area of a triangle equation. And so it says to solve for B. So a practical application here means that we already know the area. We already know the height of the object. We're just trying to figure out the base of the triangle. And so instead of first plugging in all the extra information and solving, we're going to solve for B first. So instead of doing the steps at the end, we're going to do the steps at the beginning. So if we're trying to get B by itself, I have to get rid of that 1/2 and get rid of that H. All three of those terms are being multiplied by each other. So to get rid of that 1/2, what are we going to do? How about multiply both sides by 2? So in this case, you get 2A equals BH. We have to get H by itself. We have to get B by itself, so we've got to get rid of the H. B and H are being multiplied. We undo multiplication with division. So we'll divide both sides by H. So B equals 2A divided by H. If the original equation starts with capital letters and lowercase letters, leave them the way that they are. All right, in number 2, we've got P equals 2L plus 2W. What's the formula for that? Rectangle. What about a rectangle? The perimeter of a rectangle. All right, and we are solving for W. So we have to get this term, the 2W by itself, which means we have to get rid of everything else on that side of the equals. So we've got 2L plus 2W. I've got to get rid of 2L. Is 2L positive or negative? Positive. How do I get rid of something that's positive? Subtract. So we're going to subtract that whole term, 2L, from both sides. Cancels over here, and we're left with P minus 2L equals 2W. Is W by itself? Is it isolated? No. What's the last step? Divide both sides by 2. So we've got P minus 2L over 2. You can simplify it further if you want to, but that's all that I'm going to require. If you have something different and you do divide everything by 2, I'll check your answer, make sure it works. Question.
P divided by 2 minus L?
Yes. Yep. All right. So if we apply this, we're going to solve formulas for a particular variable. So in number 1, if the perimeter of a rectangle is 28 inches, find its length if its width is 8. All right, so using that information, we know that the perimeter is 28, so P equals 28. Let's back up a step. What's my formula for perimeter of a rectangle? Good. All right, perimeter of a rectangle is 28 inches. Find its length if its width is 8. So we're finding L and W is 8. The whole point in solving for an indicated variable is to eliminate steps at some point. Since we are solving for length, we rearrange this equation and solve for L. We could also plug in all of the information that we know and solve for L that way. So we'll have 28 equals 2L. I don't know what L is yet. And I know that W is 8. And then it looks just like an equation that we've seen before. Before, what we were doing was just moving the variables around. We were manipulating them. Now we know what the variables represent, and we're still going to move them around. Now we just have an end goal in mind that looks a little bit more familiar. All right, so if we solve it, we got 28 equals 2L. We can simplify 2 times 8 is? 2 times 8 is? 16. It's a regular two-step equation, so I need to get L by itself. So I've got to undo addition and subtraction first. So I would subtract 16 from both sides. So 12 equals 2L. Divide both sides by 2, and so my length is now 6 inches. So what we did, we found the formula first. We substituted in all the information. We simplified. And then we solved. Your answer needs to have the unit. Questions about any of those so far? Okay. Number 2 says, if the area of a triangle is 18 feet squared, how long is the base if its height is 4 feet? So what's my formula? What am I finding? The area of a triangle, what's the formula for area of a triangle? A equals 1/2 B times H. B stands for base, H stands for height. It's nice that for once, mathematicians did something logical. If we're finding the base, we call it B. If we're finding the height, we call it H. Makes sense. Sometimes math doesn't make sense like that. All right, so in the first one, we got the area is 18 feet squared. Then it tells me I'm finding the base, and my height is 4 feet. So we know a lot of information. So we've got our formula. Next thing we're going to do is substitute in. So we'll substitute in our 18 for the area. My B is missing and my H is 4. Does order matter in multiplication? No. So even though there's a B in between my 1/2 and 4, I could technically multiply my 4 and 1/2. What is 4 times 1/2? Or what is half of 4? 2. Once we've simplified, all we have to do is solve. $18 equals 2B. What's my last step to solve? Divide both sides by 2. So B is 9. Is that my final answer? No. What's my final answer? How about 9 feet? Questions, comments, concerns about that? All right, last one. If the area of a trapezoid is 45 centimeters squared, find B1 if B2 is 10 centimeters and the height is 6 centimeters. So, first, what are we finding? The area of a trapezoid, what's your formula for area of a trapezoid? Alright, it tells me that the area is 45. B2 is 10 and the height is 6. I'm finding B1. We've got our formula. Next thing we want to do is substitute in all the information that we know. So we'll have 45 equals 1/2 my height. B1 is unknown and B2 is 10. All right, so we've got our formula. We substituted, then we're going to simplify. Ariana, you okay? You with me? All right. So how do I simplify? We could also do something else. Anybody see something else? Instead of distributing the 6. Yep. So let's simplify the 1/2 times 6 first. So half of 6 is 3. Okay. So here we've got two options. We've got 3 outside parentheses. What generally does that mean? Multiplication. That's the only word I heard. I heard other things, but I don't know. So we could multiply. We could use distributive property. Does anybody see something else we could do, like an option 2?
You could subtract 3.
Not subtract, but it is with the 3. We could divide both sides by 3. If we divide both sides by 3, that makes it a little bit simpler. We'd have 15 equals B1 plus 10. If you wanted to do that, it works. I think we're more comfortable probably distributing, so that's what I'll show you up here. So we've got 3 times B1, which is 3B1, plus 3 times 10, which is 30. So we've got 45 equals 3 times B1 plus 30. Then it's just a 2-step equation. So I'm going to move my stuff up here. I would subtract 30 from both sides. Have 15 equals 3 times B1. How would I get B1 by itself? Divide both sides by 3. So B1 equals 5. So what would my actual answer be? 5 centimeters. So make sure you got those units in there. I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'll let you work on your homework. I'm going to